Is it back to school season and you're not exactly sure what to teach on the first day of elementary music this year? Then stay tuned, this video is for you. Hello whimsically musical teachers, it's Rainy here. If you don't know who I am an elementary music teacher that teaches at a private school in Central Florida, and my whole goal of this channel is to help you with teacher tips, curriculums, strategies, activities, all of the things to help us all be better music educators because we are better when we work together. Now with that being said, it is already back to school for me, in the thick of it. I have kids this Wednesday, so I have Meet the Teacher tomorrow, actually today, as you're seeing this video, is Meet the Teacher for me. And so I needed to have my lesson plans already done. But maybe you're starting to go back to school and you're not sure what you should teach on the first day. Maybe this is your first time ever teaching elementary music and you're not sure. Or maybe you've never really liked what you've done on the first day and you just need a refresher, you need an idea, you need something to help you figure it out. That is what this video is for. I'm going to be sharing my specific tips and tricks and strategies that I use and the exact lesson plans that I do on my first day of school with all my different grade levels. Of course, it is scaffolded depending on what grade level it is. And then that way you know exactly what you're doing from the moment you walk in the door with your students and you can start off the year with a bang. Now, I do want to preface by saying that before I share all these lessons, everything that I share today is pre-packaged already for you. Like, if you're like, I want to do all of these lessons, but I don't want to make the resources and the slides and the song, like all the stuff that goes with it, I have it all for you in my pre-packaged first day of music lesson plans bundle. So if you're interested in that, I will put a link underneath this video. So just know that it's all there for you. I've got you covered. Okay, but with that being said, let's just start by talking about some things that you need to consider or that I keep the same in general amongst all the grade levels when I'm planning out the first day of music, and then we'll break it down by grade level, starting with kindergarten and ending all the way with 5th. Now, the goals for the first day of music obviously is to just learn their name and make them have fun in music class, introducing them to as many different facets of music as I possibly can within that first lesson. Movement, singing. I'm probably not going to do instruments the first day just because, you know, it's the first day back. I don't trust them with that yet. But you know, all the things that you can introduce, right? And all of my classes, I will say, also have a musical warm-up that we do. I have a reel of this on my Instagram that I have linked underneath this video in case you need to see it, where I introduce from the very start. I do that from like day one, even with my kinder babies. My 5th graders right now know it extremely well, and so they're just kind of expecting it, and we go on with our day. But that helps me make sure that my kids are in the right mindset, that we've like moved into our head voice, we've stretched a little, we've done some rhythmic and melodic warm-up, we've done some breathing exercises, and we're ready to go. I do also have a video, like I said, an Instagram video and a regular video, I'm pretty sure, talking about my warm-up routine, so I will link both of those underneath the video. But I also like to do a name game of some sort, even though I don't have a lot of turnover in my school because we're a very tiny private Christian school, so it's basically all the same kids, add like 3 or 4 students per grade level. But I still do the name game anyway because they don't all know each other. They're not always in the same class with each other. So it's good to do the names anyway. And then I also, of course, will do classroom seating charts, expectations, and classroom essentials if possible. Basically classroom agreements. I have them come up with the music rules. Like, all of the classes will have probably same ideas, and then we combine them into one set of like 5 rules, and that way they're like taking responsibility or ownership of their music learning. But I don't always get to that in the first lesson just because of the timing that I have, but that is a good thing to consider. So if you don't have classroom agreements, I do recommend it. So with that, those are the things that I'm definitely like, okay, I gotta touch those. I gotta get those somewhere within my first day of music lessons. But then it's like, what do you actually do with your students on the very first day? And that's what we're gonna talk about. So let's talk about what a typical first day of music can look like starting in kindergarten. So in kindergarten, I actually do this with kindergarten and 1st grade. I just do a follow the leader game into a circle into my classroom. So they follow me in a line. They're just copying me, keeping the beat however I'm doing it. And I normally put on the song, We Are Family, just because it's a good jam. And we get into a circle, and then once we've made a circle, we immediately start with my music warm-up. I'm telling you, I introduced to the kinder babies from the very first day. Then I get out a puppet and I do the game Higgledy Piggledy. My son just came in to show me a jumping spider that is alive and on his hand right now. I don't know how to feel about that. Anyway, A stuffed animal. Okay, so I grab a stuffed animal of some sort and I will introduce the game Higglety Pigglety for the name game. And it goes like this. Higglety Pigglety Bumblebee, will you say your name for me? And then they'll say, my name is, and they normally can use the puppet to like sing it. So it's not them singing, it's the puppet singing. So they'll be like, my name is Lila. Her name is Lila. And all the other puppets will sing back to her. So they all have a puppet in their hand. And they do find this very cute. It gets them singing on the first day. And they're not as shy because the puppet is singing for them. They're not singing. The puppet is singing for them. Then we keep our animals right away with us and we do beat buddies, which is basically where you keep the beat using the stuffed animal. So if you have the stuffed animal, it can be keeping the beat on your hand. It can be keeping the beat on your elbow, on your nose, on your head, on your armpit. No, that's a little smelly. The kids think that's hilarious. And you just keep the beat on different parts of your body. Typically, if it's kindergarten, I will lead the entire time. Once we get to like a couple of times of trying this, I will ask them to like experiment on their own and I'll walk around and like observe them and say things like, oh, look at Billy doing this on his foot, and like people copy him and they get excited. And then you're able to like really tell like which kids can keep the beat, which kids have good ideas, which kids are using their stuffed animals correctly, which ones are not, because inevitably some will not. Then we move on to one of my favorite movement activities of the day. But before we do that, we do go over my movement rules, and I got these rules, I'm pretty sure, from Jess at Music and Motivate. But she basically, the movement rules of like no bumping, no hitting, no running, no falling down, no following, and no talking, and no touching, I think, are all of them. So we do the movement rules, and then we do walk and stop. So walk and stop, I play on my ukulele, which I do have it up there, but I don't think it's tuned, so I'm not going to grab it right now. But basically, the kids walk around the room while I sing, you walk and you walk and you walk and you stop. And you walk and you walk and you walk and you stop. And then they keep going, and that's just a fun little activity. And then I'll go, you leap and you leap, you hop and you hop, you wiggle and you wiggle, you crawl and you crawl, you skip and you skip, you twirl and you twirl. You get the gist. You can change the different locomotor movements, which they always have a great time with. So I do love that one. And then we will typically read a book on the first day with them. And I read, this is the first year that I'm doing this book, but it was really cute. I'm doing on the first day of kindergarten because I think it is sung to the 12 days of Christmas. Because it's like, on the first day of kindergarten, da 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 da. And then it says something else. So I read that story to them. And then I'm just going to be singing it to them, basically, just to like introduce them to kindergarten. And we can talk about what we can expect in kindergarten, what we can expect like as a class, like just get them thinking about like being kind to one another, sharing a space, following directions, the whole shebang, because they're going to need that reminder. And then we finish with one of my favorite songs, This Is My Space, which we have, this is my space. This is my place, my space, my place, nobody but me. So that they learn spatial awareness. They shouldn't be in each other's bubble. They shouldn't be right up close and personal to someone. This is their space that they inhabit. They need that reminder because some of them will probably have not gone to school yet and don't realize you can't just get right in people's business. So that's a fabulous thing to remind them, and they love doing this song. And I will always do it and bring it out if they are having a hard hands to themselves day. And then that's really all the time that we have for in kindy. And then we're done. So let's move on to first grade. Okay, so in first grade, I do also do the We Are Family circle thing, and we do the music warm-up as well. And then we do a different warm-up game. I do jump, jump, wiggle, wiggle for their name game, which goes jump, jump, wiggle, wiggle, 1, 2, 3. Jump, jump, wiggle, wiggle, say your name for me. And they'd say, my name is Johnny. His name is Johnny. And we'll do 2 or 3 people in a row, and then we'll go back to jump, jump, wiggle, wiggle. So that's a fun one for the kids to do, gets them up and moving because they're like wiggly worms, you know, at the beginning of the school year. Then we do the beat buddies as well with the littles because they will have remembered the beat buddies from kindergarten, and so they have a good time with that. I just have to review really quickly, obviously, how to respect the beat buddy themselves, and then halfway through the song, I stop leading and I let them take control. And then I like to do a movement song for them called Rig a Jig Jig, and that one goes like this. As I was walking down the street, down the street, down the street, a friend you know I chanced to meet. Hi-ho, hi-ho, hi-ho. And so they're walking around the room at that time, waving hi to their classmates during that. Then during the next part, there's skip they're skipping through the classroom and they're going, a rigga-jig-jig and away we go, away we go, away we go, rigga-jig-jig and away we go, hi-ho, hi-ho, hi-ho. And so then they're skipping along and all of that. And then I could change how they skip. I could say they could hop, I could say they could dance, whatever I want to do, but I typically just keep it the same, and I do that a couple times, and I will change my tempo for as I was walking down the street, so that sometimes they're going super slow, sometimes they're going kind of fast, sometimes they're just going at a normal pace. So that's a fun one for the kids to do. And then I do a beat keeping game that I made up myself. I do use, and I got this idea from, I think, Music with Molly. She has an actual like beat plush, like Squishmallow, like a beet, like a vegetable. So that is Mr. Beat. Yes, although it's Mrs. Beat because mine has eyelashes. And so I call it Keep the Beat. So Mr. Beat is always with us when we're doing a beat activity, so I'm reinforcing like the word steady beat. But basically the way this goes is they're in a circle and I'll start and maybe I'm saying beat, beat, keep the beat, show us how to keep the beat, 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 keep the beat, show us how to keep the beat. And then we immediately go to the next student and they have to pick a way for us to keep the beat in the circle, whether it's snapping, clapping, patting our head. I've had dabbing before. I've had kicking our heels, whatever it is. And they all go in a circle and they have to demonstrate a way to keep the beat. And so then I can also watch them and like assess them and see, can they actually keep a beat? Because some students cannot, unfortunately. So that's just a fun one to like reinforce steady beat at the start of the year. And then I normally end with Apple Tree because I will have taught that in kindergarten, and so they like that song. And if you don't know it, it goes, apple tree, will your apples fall on me? I won't cry and I won't shout if your apple knocks me out. Okay, so we have Apple Tree, and basically all that it is it's a circle. There's two students and they have their hands raised up like a tree. The students are walking in and out of their little circle, and on the words knocks me out, they bring their hands down. Whoever they've caught becomes part of their apple tree until it's a giant, giant apple tree and there's only one student left trying to escape the apple tree. And so that's a fun one to do with them. They love that game. And then that's all the time we have for them. So then we're going to move right along to second grade. Now, second grade, I start up with my musical warm-up like normal, and then I do bounce high with them for a steady beat assessment. If you don't know the song, you have a ball, you're bouncing it in front of yourself, and you're singing, bounce high, bounce low, bounce the ball to Shiloh, bounce high, bounce low, bounce the ball to Shiloh. Only instead of saying Shiloh, we'll say a student's name. So maybe it's bounce high, bounce low, bounce the ball to Daphne. And then Daphne will get the ball, and then we'll sing it again and she'll pass it to someone else. And so then whenever that student has gotten it passed to and they have passed it to someone else, they take a seat so that I know who's left in the circle, and then I'm learning everybody's names. They can pass it to whoever they want in the circle. And so it's just fun getting them moving, getting their brains working a little. So that's a fun and easy name game you can do. And then we do the Keep the Beat game with them as well, because it's always good to refresh. Then I do a rhythm flashcard dance with them. I got this idea from someone, but basically you just do echoing rhythm flashcards to music. So I do it to September by Earth, Wind, and Fire. I'll echo 8 patterns of them. So I'll be like ta, ta, ti, ti, ta, 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 ti, ti, ta, ti, 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 ta, ti, 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 ta. And then we keep going, and then the chorus comes out and I'm like, dance break, and everybody's dancing, oh yeah, dancing in September, you know, all the stuff, and they're having fun. And we go back and forth between echoing rhythms, which the rhythms are on the board so they can see them as we're going. And so back and forth with that. And so that's just a good little rhythm assessment, getting some move and groove in their bodies. And then we do Apple Tree in this grade level as well. It's always fun, easy to do. I'll probably even review slides just to review steady beat and rhythm for this one. And then I end with a mixer dance, and it's normally Sasha. I actually like switch out one or two, and so I'll talk about Sasha first. If you don't know that one, it's from the New England Dance Masters. It's a fabulous, fabulous dance. It's a mixer dance. Basically, you have one partner. You go Sasha, Sasha, raz, va, tre, which is 1, 2, 3 in Russian. And then you go right, 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 left, 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 both, 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 knees, 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 right, 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 left, 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 both, 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 knees, 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 elbow, circle, and circle all around. Hey, switching sides and circle all around. Hey, and then they wave goodbye to their partner and they get 32 counts to find a new partner and do it again. And so that's getting them used to having new partners, not getting to stay with the same person, getting used to their classmates, and dancing on the first day. I highly, highly, highly recommend it. And my kids all basically know Sasha because we've done it for school performances before, and a lot of them want to do it. So as soon as they hear the music, they're like, oh, it's Sasha! And they get very excited. So I do that for them. All right, moving on to third grade. We start with our musical warm-up. And then we do a fun name game called Up the Ladder, which I normally play a drum beat on the game, but I believe it's just up the ladder, down the ladder, one by one, the ladder, up the ladder, down the ladder, one by one. And then they say, my name is Jimmy, his name is Jimmy, my name's Olivia, her name's Olivia, my name's Sebastian, his name's Sebastian, up the ladder, down the ladder, one by one, and it keeps repeating. So typically I'm playing like a drum beat while they're doing this pattern, and since it's a little bit more intricate, that's when I start to introduce it in 3rd grade, so that's a fun name game. My favorite thing that I do, I got from Orff Levels, and it's called Hello and How Are You? And they have a partner. I'll teach the song first, but it goes like this. Hello and how are you? Hello and how are you? Well, I'm okay, yes, I'm okay, and how are you? Hello and how are you? They have a partner, and all the snaps, they have to make up a pattern to do with their partner. So one time I had students do, hello, and how are you? So they were like elbow high-fiving their partner. And then on the, well, I'm okay, yes, I'm okay, and how are you? They have to make some dance move to do with their partner. So I've had one person, they did a ballerina twirl in a circle, and they just went, well, I'm okay, yes, I'm okay, and how are you? Hello. And then you keep going, right? So they have to do like a creative composition project with their students, and I will build upon this. Like the next week, then we do bonjour, and they have to have a new partner, and then the 3rd week we do konnichiwa, and then they put them all together, and they're doing all of their partners, and then like they sing the song in between to get to their new partner. Like it's a whole like performance that I do at the end of it all. But I love this one so very much. It's just so fun. Then we have Pass the Beat Around the Room. That is a fun one if you don't know it. It's literally they're in a circle and they each have a syllable to say. Pass the beat around the room. Pass the beat around the room. If they mess up, they don't say the right word, all this sort of stuff, they're eliminated and they have to sit down. There are more levels than that. The 2nd level would be where like you would skip over them in the 1st level. In the 2nd level, you wouldn't skip over them. So if there were 3 people sitting out right here, it would be pass round the room. So like you'd skip them. And then the 3rd level would be pass the stamping your foot on beat. So that one's super fun. And then we finish with Sasha as well. I typically do Sasha for 2nd and 3rd. And then I do a different one for 4th and 5th. So we're about to get there. But now we're on to 4th grade. I do my musical warm-up, of course. And then we do jump in, jump out, which everybody knows at this point is literally jump in, jump out, introduce yourself. I said jump in, jump out, introduce yourself. My name is Rhonda. Yeah, and I can cook. Yeah, and I like soccer. Yeah. All right, all right, all right. Jump in. And then they do it again. So they have to say something they can do and something that they like to do. And then that's basically all that they do. And they love this one and they have a lot of fun with it. But I do give them a second to figure out what they're going to say so that we're not just sitting there forever with them going, ain't nobody got time for that. Then we move on to musical mayhem. I learned this as train wreck. Basically, the kids are in a seated circle. There's one less chair than there is students. And you say something like, if you're in the middle, that student says, I like to play piano. And if anybody else likes to play piano, they have to get up and trade seats. They can't do the seat that was right next to them. Or someone says, I sing in the shower. Whatever it is. It has to be musical related. And then, you know, you switch and you move around and whoever gets no chair ends up in the middle. So that one you get to learn a lot of musical fun facts about them. And it gets them moving and running and, you know, getting out all their energy. Then we have Cut the Cake, which is just a fun singing game that also allows them to like play a little bit of tag. So it's easy to get them singing. And I don't know about you, but it's harder to get the older ones singing. But this one goes like this. Clap your hands together, give yourself a shake. Make a happy circle, then you cut the cake. And so the chef or the baker is on the outside of the circle walking around. On Make a Happy Circle, everybody grabs hands. He comes in on Then You Cut the Cake and chops the hands of 2 people. Whoever he chops, he's going to stand in their place and put his hands up like this. And they're going to run around the circle, handshake each other in the middle so they don't knock each other over, keep running, and whoever tags the baker's hands first is the new baker and the other one stays in the circle. So they do love this one. It's a good old-fashioned time. And then I actually do the Martian hop dance for 4th and 5th. I got this from, what is her name? Mariah from Sweet Home's Music Room. I did link the video like of her doing it underneath here, but it's just a very, very simple, easy folk dance that like resembles Sasha but has fun Martian-y music. So highly recommend that. Okay, so then we have 5th grade, and I do my musical warm-up as normal. I do jump in, jump out with them, because that one's just a tried and true for the older kids. And I do beat detective with them. So that's just where everybody is sitting in a circle. One person has their eyes closed in the middle, and their ears I typically cover. One person in the circle is the beat detective, and they have to keep the beat for the whole class to copy without the person in the middle, the beat master, trying to like see who's leading the circle essentially. And they're just trying to figure out like who's in charge and who's not. And then we do a fun singing jumping game for them called Big Fat Biscuit, which if you don't know that one, it goes like this. Big fat biscuit, choo-baloo, just from the oven, choo-baloo, gonna jump over yonder, choo-baloo. It's a jumping game. So exactly, on the last word, choo-baloo, you have 3 students typically, and they jump as far as they can to the other side of the room without falling and landing on both feet flat-footed. And so that is just a fun jumping game. They love to jump, they love to prove themselves, and they'll keep asking for this game for a long time to come. Then I do what you are excited for in music class with them. I have them fill out this little exit ticket that asks me what they're most excited to do in music this year, just because they are 5th grade, and I want to make sure that if possible I can give them the musical experiences that they want. Now sometimes they're going to tell you things crazy like I want to learn how to play the saxophone. I'm not teaching that, but you know, it's still good to know overall. And then we end with Martian Hop or Sasha, one of the two, depending on which one they're feeling the vibe for. But that is all of my lessons that I do for K through 5. Now, like I said, I do have all this prepackaged up for you already. Like I have apple tree slides. I have first day of music slides for you. I have the lesson plans already pre-written. I have seating charts. I have everything that you could need for these first day lesson plans. So if you're like, bet, I need that, it's underneath this description for you, packaged and done. I also have, if you're looking for a scope and sequence for free and you missed last week's video, then I have that underneath here as well. But I hope that this was helpful to you. I hope that you are able to have some stellar lesson plans for your first day of school, especially if you are going back as early as me. And if you're not, you have time to plan. And with that, thank you so much for watching this video. It really helps if you like and subscribe to my channel down below, and you follow me on all social media platforms at Whimsically Musical Teacher. And with that, my friends, I will see you in a video very soon. Bye!